Okay, now we're going to switch games, and it's going to be Dusty versus MNM. But before we do that, I know we have some surprise for you all, which is nerf, buff, and remove. Take a look.
I would buff Anivia because it's my favorite champ, and I want to be able to blind her without getting dumpstered in lane.
It's probably I have to say Heimringer. I think I used to be a bit of a Heimringer connoisseur back in the Swedish scene, and used to play him a lot bot lane. So if they were to buff him, so I could whip it out and then they'll see for perfect. Because now in this long range meta, it's not playable.
I mean, honestly, Maokai, he needs some love.
I would like to see Rise buff because I think he's way too squishy and he doesn't deal any damage compared to, I don't know, Victor or Syndra, for example.
I kinda actually want to buff Fresh. I think he has been in a very bad state for so long that he's not even being played.
I guess it'd be champions like Zyra. I don't know if it'd be Zyra in particular. I think in general, I want there to be like more anti-engage like support options that are super viable. I think that would be like the main thing that would push the meta into a different direction. Because we've seen kind of like Nautilus Leona in support role for a really long time. And I think if there were more options like Zyra or Taric, it would open up kind of a lot of champions in the game.
I'll buff Rengar because I miss playing that champ, and I feel like, although he's decent at the moment, I still miss him when he was broken, and I'm one-shotting everyone.
Lee Sin for sure, because I love playing the champ and I would like it to be more broken.
I'll buff Echo because it's fun.
I would buff Set with TT at the end, not Set Assassin. Since I enjoy playing him a lot and he hasn't been meta for a long time.
Probably Twitch. That is one of my favorite champions. And he has been very shit for a long time, and also his Q is bugged, and that's very frustrating to play as.
I would nerf Viego. I think this champ is completely unbalanced, and it's unfun to play against.
I think a champion who I don't necessarily like being in the meta in general is Zilean. I think he's like pretty uninteractive to deal with, especially in mid lane. At least in solo queue, because he can kind of just like double bomb the wave and run away. And yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of counterplay. He can kind of fall behind as much as he wants, but there's nothing you can really do about it, especially as a jungler.
And I would nerf Riven. I find her quite OP in solo queue and annoying to face. Feel like there's not much counterplay in a lot of matchups.
I would like to see Kiana nerfed because I never want to see her again.
I would nerf Gwen. It's not fun playing against a champ that one-shots you and you can't even target them.
For me, I think right now it's probably gonna be Gwen for top lane. I think it's really strong. It's probably gonna be like even stronger now in this new patch 12.10, right? But I mean, it's just so frustrating not being able to hit the champion as an AD carry, right? So
generally, I really dislike Yumi, so yeah, that champ.
Nerf Ringa because it's just annoying, boring to play against.
I think for competitive, there's not really a champ that I want to nerf, but for solo queue, I really hate playing against Masi and Fizz. It's just annoying that we can go invulnerable, and as soon as you step up one step too far, you just press R and then you're dead.
Nerf definitely Talia. The champion is overtuned. I don't know how she dodged the nerfs after the recent patches.
Nerf Evelyn, just because it's really annoying champ and I don't like the stealth mechanic.
Okay, this video brought a smile to my face, but what's up with MC and Cat?
I don't know, man. He has a fetish, I guess. I'm not gonna judge. It's completely fine. Chemera, you look
want to
like
play in Italy? I want to see Rengar buffed. Come on.
So, funny thing is, one of the off-season moves was actually the substitute for X7 is a guy called Icy Gale, who is a Rengar top player. He has corrupted MC, been driven to the dark ways of the cat. I mean, I'm a cat person, but not Rengar Yumi. None of that.
One thing though, Taxer, I love you, man. Lee Sin has been broken for more than 4 seasons in a row. If you cannot 1v9 this champ, it's not because of the champion, it's because of the hands that you have.
Have you seen this guy? Every single time that he looks into a champion, okay, if you cannot 1v9, it's on you. It's not on the game, it's not on the, it's on you. One trick, you don't 1v9, it's on you.
I
And
do,
one trick.
however, agree on the Gwen nerf. That should have
Yes.
been done way long time ago. I would have put her on remove, just remove the champion as a whole.
Remove
That's me.
champion, remove Yumi. And moving on, it's time for Dusty versus MNM.
Oh.
So now you can talk
This-
about it.
Yeah, this is where we copy and paste the talk I did in the last match. We just put it here. We go to pause. Boom. Whoosh. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk really fast again. I'm just gonna make a TLDR. DeVoskne. I played with him in
Very
solo
good.
queue under a fake name, a unknown name. He popped off completely. I was 100% sure it was either Carsey or Perks playing AD. And I'm just leaving it at that. I think it's gonna 1v9 today.
The 1v9?
I mean, last time I was in the NLC, DeVoskne was so good. This guy who you could leave him alone to get farm and get resources, and then he just, it was the kind of thing where you're talking about, like, you know, if you can't 1v on in X situation, well, he just would. He just would. If you gave him the resources, DeVoskne was one of the premier carries in this region. It's great to have him back.
And now looking into MNM, I want to focus on MNM. And at the last interview that I did with Michigo, he was telling me, I don't know if I'm going to be at the same team. This might be the last time that we talk. I was like, oh, I'm so sad. I love that player. He's the only guy that left from MNM. Everything has changed.
Is MNM just a battle royale or something?
I guess. And you won.
Chicken dinner, yeah. Even with that, you know, like talking about MNM as a team, they have a lot of rebuilding to do. They had some great moments in spring. They very nearly brought down X7 on their hot streak. I think it was in, you know, week 2, week 3, when they'd started to get back onto their feet again. Then they subbed out one of their coaches. One of their coaches ended up leaving the organization, and you could tell the impact, actually. They were very organized about playing around their mid-jungle in Canna and Royal Cannon, and then that just went after this coaching situation changed, or at least that's what we've kind of gleaned from it. So the question for me is actually, you might have the pieces on the table. You have to prove to us now again that you can actually use those pieces while coming to this next split. Because again, the level we're seeing from the other teams so far seems to be pretty high.
And I would say Dusty is a big question mark for all of us. I mean, this game is a big question mark for all of us. We still don't know what to expect from these two teams. And obviously, we need to get at least 2 weeks to 3 weeks trial. That's
Trial
the same
periods.
thing, yeah. But the Champion Select is upon us. We should jump into Champion Select in a few seconds. Can we expect anything in specific before we see the bans and the picks?
When?
Okay, the usual bans. So shall we jump into Champion Select? There you go. Welcome to MNM versus Dusty. Tryndamere is going to be removed, so no Undying Rage, but Gwen is still available and she's immune.
There are a lot of priority picks still. There are some name champs as well, because of course, like Soft and Chemera have been big names in the UK scene for a while, finally making their way back into the NLC scene and around the corner from us. Kerberos, see that Tryndamere being targeted towards them. Kerberos has forever been the 1v1 fight me top laner, and has been through stuff like Camille. And obviously, Tryndamere very much fits into that matchup as well.
Pantheon is a good top. I'm not memeing. He's a good top laner right now.
How did we get to this?
Is he talking about face-to-face champions in the top lane? He is a good face-to-face champion. Even after the how do you call it? The patch, new patch, how do you call it?
That one, yeah. The
vitality patch, whatever they call it, I don't know.
Durability.
The durability, the more HP, I don't care. I still fight him with a spear. Let's see what happens. Talia alongside with Wukong are going to be removed. Jax is going to be the last one coming in from MNM. And Dusty, they lose that personality of aggressiveness from Viking. They now have a different personality. We don't know what sort of personality that is, but it's Gwen to be removed. The Viego is available, so yeah.
So first I was kind of surprised to see the Lucian ban, because I just feel like you have to kind of pick your poison on the red side when you're drafting as Dusty. You have to ban Gwen, Wukong, Talia, and Lucian as well. And there is a 4 picks. Obviously one is gonna fall through, but now MNM, they kind of give away the Lucian ban and they get the Viego, which kind of makes sense. But now there's like so many good picks off the table, so I'm quite kind of surprised to see what Dusty's gonna pick now. The Graves?
I mean, the Graves obviously an Umbral Glaive build, a very strong item on this patch. Do you want to quickly backtrack to that Lucian point, though? I actually wonder if this is a nameplates thing. We talked about DeVoskne being an incredible player in that bot lane. Stend, also, if you look at various tier lists of reputes or ill repute, yes, Viper and I am talking about you. We know that Stend and DeVoskne are looking to be one of the best bot lanes we can have, actually, in this NLC, at least on paper. I wonder if this is a case of Lucian needs to do well in the 2v2. If you're not confident in terms of going up against these two players in a 2v2 situation, maybe back off from that. Maybe it's just a little too high volatility for it.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. And I'm once again surprised to see the Soraka pick actually coming in blind, because I mean, obviously it could be a flex, right? Could be towards the AD, even though I would be very surprised if DeVoskne decides to pick this champion right now. But then, now this is what I like to see now, because we have the Viego, we have the GP, we have the Galio. We don't really know yet what MNM wants to do. They could go for a complete all-in comp, all-in. But they could also decide to go another route, and this is what I like to see when you're drafting on blue side.
When Soraka's locked, okay, well, we know a lot of what's happening now, but I actually wonder if there's some stuff you can do now, right? Because Darius is going to be, you know, drawing a lot of attention up towards that top lane. Maybe you can even try and go towards something like a Kai'Sa Galio bot lane, shift the Galio down to bot side if you think that all the potential is going on top. That's one way you can do this. The other way you can do this is one of the teams which I really ascribed this to was there was a composition between Kazakh's Galio in about Season 8. That was a thing which KT Rolster, one of the best teams in the world at that time, did, where you just battle ward with something like a Viego. You walk in and you have the Galio hammering down on someone when you find them in the enemy jungle. I reckon you can do this kind of play with the extra Gangplank on top of it. Question is, can you do that if you're losing very heavily in a side lane against someone like a Darius if they do get early kills and early gold? It's actually quite dangerous now what Dusty have done in terms of unbalancing what MNM can do with their composition.
And that's the thing, right? Darius is famously know if you are able to snowball in the early game, you're just gonna take a complete lower. It doesn't really matter what champs you're playing against. And GP, I don't know much about top. I'm playing ADC, I'm so far away from top, but I know that Darius can kinda smash GP into the pavement if he wants to.
I know so much about top lane. First time I reached Diamond 3, I played top lane. I went 1 of 13, but I made it. So that's the story of top lane for me. That's how I know about it. Sometimes you can die so many times in that lane and it can be okay. The question is, what's actually bailing out? What are your win conditions? Someone like a Darius, for large amounts of history, was a champion that could get individual leads. And against a Gangplank, you absolutely can do, but then can struggle to translate that otherwise. If you're diving into a Galio ultimate when you're trying to pop off and actually just get stopped just before you hit it, that can be quite difficult. Something like a Soraka, though, can absolutely help you get over that final hurdle.
And it really depends on some of the spells that you bring into that lane. Because if you don't bring the Ghost, Gangplank can kite you. You have the slow, you have the movement speed for yourself. Trial by Fire can actually do some wonders on the top side, so let's see what happens. As ahoy, ahoy, there you go! This is a champion select. And if you want to go, you're going to go.
So in one way, I'm super disappointed how much...
Disappointed?
No, let me get to my point.
Okay.
How much I talked about DeVoskne was going to be able to pop off this game. It's going to 1v9. Sure, you can carry on Soraka, but this is not what I expected. But then I see Michigo and Shredded, they don't give a crap. They're just looking Chemera Alistar. This is gonna be bloody one, man. I love it.
To me, Michigo was that AD carry that picked whatever he wanted, and he succeeded. And now he's picking in Chemera.
But this Veigar does so much work. That is an absolute hammer blow to what MNM want to do, because suddenly, okay, the way this game is now going to work, if the fight happens in one line and it happens along one direction, MNM are going to get blown apart. It's going to be Nautilus Hook into Cage, into kills, into Darius to start popping off. If it happens in multiple directions, you get someone into the backline delivering the Galio to them, that's when things are going to get really, really messy. Maybe we can start seeing things go in the favor of MNM, maybe a bit more pleasant fashion for them. But this is going to be very much about angles of attack, from my opinion, on how MNM would go about this game.
Before we move on, who's going to win?
I just have to give it to Dusty, man. I think they just have the kind of... I think they have the better individual players, but I do kind of... I think if... no, and I'm gonna go with
no, okay. It's Dusty. What about you? No matter. No, you gotta tell me.
This is the hardest one. I'm gonna go Dusty. I think Soraka Darius is really strong on side lanes.
You know what? I'm going for the other side. I do believe it's Michigo. It's the boy. He's going mental on that one. So let's see as we jump into the Summoner's Rift. It is initialized alongside with the one and only Trouble.
One and only. I see how it is. So I'm just like a random person. Trouble gets this incredible.
Called your name?
True. He also kind of like demoted me at the beginning of the day as well. I see how it is. There's a favoritism going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you. You're pretty great. That's fair.
I mean, yeah.
That's true. Don't agree with me.
He twisted his ankle today, so just give him.
He's doing very well.
Just give him some time. He's literally not even wearing a shoe.
Is he not? He is. You're right. I hadn't actually noticed walking away without a shoe on. That's hilarious. Are we mocking our host while he's walking away from the desk?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. But we are also going to get onto the Rift. Some pretty spicy... Oh, my days. No, what? Scothotch?
Yeah, at least
what has
he's
it
not
done?
jumping off the Rift.
Is he got a noise? I'm worried. Why?
Did we just have our producer quack in our ears?
Yes, we did.
Or did this go on broadcast?
No, I don't know. Did the audience hear my producer go quack, quack, like really high pitch? Pascal, what were you doing? Call him out by name. You find him. You find out. as always, production smurfing.
Welcome to MNM versus Dusty, Game 4, Week 1, Day 1 of the NLC. We have one more to go after these, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. So hold on tight, because there's 2 fanatic bushes being built up on the Rift right now.
Absolutely. Oh my case, we're
Oh,
going
it's
to see
continuing.
them. Both the 5-man stacks are happening. They're going to clash. Oh my days. They all know that Michigan's going to be left alone. He's not there. It's a 4v5 right now. Massive turnaround knockup though. What is that apprehend? Shredder going to be taken out by the Ignite, but not taken down. Now Kerberos trying to back away. Needs to escape a bit more damage coming back. No one dies, but my days. A lot of damage going across, and level 1 is already getting a little spicy.
Yeah, that's a pretty typical level 1 when you have Kerberos in your team, I guess. And I'm going to go back to what the desk was saying. Kerberos is running the Flash and Ghost. It is so difficult for Darius to play fights and team fights later on, to run down their opponents in a very long lane, such as top lane, without having the Ghost available to them. Now, Caleb cannot, unfortunately, run the Ghost with the Flash, which means that once he's flashed, he's very prominent to actually being chased down by the Darius right there. Now, one thing that I was really sad about is the fact that Soraka didn't go mid.
You were wondering about that, yeah.
I would have liked to see the Soraka mid and the Veigar bot, because the Veigar can actually stop Samira and Alistar from dashing in, which would have kept this bot lane a lot more safe, right? And then Soraka can also chase around Galio the same way you chase around the Twisted Fate when they're on vision, when he's about to ult summer, pop the silence, stop them dead in their tracks. But I'm assuming this will also work later on. You put Soraka onto the bot side of the map. Talking about the bot side of the map, 2 summoners already gone. Actually, 3 summoners already
Indeed, Shredder did burn the flash. It was in trade for the heal from DeVoskne and the ignite from Stem, but they've both got those defensive movement summoners available. Chemera had to start the Idol of Durand as well, that taunt from Galio, so not the best start, not given the easiest shove that we normally have. Linkas, though, coming in as a little bit of a mechanical prodigy in the jungle, all things said and done. A lot of good things I've heard about this play. Came over from playing in Maus, over in the Prime League. Didn't get as far as they were hoping with the roster they had, but is now here on this Dusty lineup that there are quite a lot of expectations around. Kerberos is back. DeVoskne is back. Linkas, this kind of superstar, is back. You know, looking to see what they can do.
And let's not forget that Dusty, as a team, made it all the way to the playoffs and only lost to Bifrost at the very last hurdle before they made EU Masters. Bifrost stops them dead in their tracks. So the playoffs run, last split, absolutely miraculously great. Can they keep up the expectations?
Flash, apprehend. Caleb flashes the smoke screen in turn, but
That's
flash
it.
for flash.
Look
Still
at the
Ghost available.
Look at the lane.
Ugh.
Caleb really needs to crush this wave, but Linkas is around. He's just lost his flash, which means that Kerberos, once he presses that other summon that he has, can actually run Caleb down. Needs Soft to come around, even have to even show himself if he needs to help Caleb and crush this wave. Linkas will stay around as well.
Just Soft hovering here, trying to prevent an easy all-in. Still going to land that Decimate. Here comes Soft, throws down the harrowed path. Don't get anything more, though. Just allowing that crash to happen, and does so. The Spectral Maw also going wide. That'll be that for that, but that is an early back forced out of the top lane, which is not what they wanted to see. I don't think it'll be anything like a Sheen money right now, which is a bit of a frustration, I am sure. Still, left ourselves with an early game that's been close to full action, but no one has fallen yet. It's just been summoners that have gone.
And I was about to say, Caleb also needs to TP here because Kerberos will want to reset the lane the way he wants it, so it's actually solving towards him. Which is actually solving towards Caleb. So for Caleb to fix his lane, he has to TP back, meaning that right now he's summonerless. Once Kerberos comes back with the Ghost available, Graves is going to be passing towards the top side of the map as well, because right now he's clearing his bot quadrant. So expect to see a bunch of action happening towards the top side of the map, especially because Caleb is missing his summoner spell.
Got to keep our eyes on when Chemera hits 6 well. He had a pretty fantastic time for the most of Division 2 last split as well. He's playing on Monster Rugby Gaming. When we were chatting about Merbs earlier on in the day, Chemera was the mid laner there who was also doing pretty exceptional things on stuff like this Galio, and he and Soft played together way back on Resolve as well, so that's a duo that's kind of rejoining here and looking to take this organization a little bit beyond. As everyone coming up.
Man, shadow from the side of MNM right here. Caleb is alive and
the slows. He's going to throw out the ghost, but the slow's kind of on. I don't think there's anywhere for Kerberos to go. He's going to try and sidestep it. He'll get a little bit of an apprehend, but first blood still goes the way of Chemera. 4 men come top, and 1 Kerberos falls.
I think that was a little bit greedy right there from Kerberos. He had the chance to back. Yes, the lane would not be at the best place possible, but your Graves is pathing towards the top side of the map. Worst case scenario, your wave has been frozen, you call your Graves top side, you reset the wave, it slow pushes towards you and bounces back. So I think that Kerberos was a little bit greedy right there, gets punished instantly. MNM lose nothing for this, even though their Alistar completely left bot lane because you have a Soraka. So your Chemera is just actually not threatened at all. So really well played right there from MNM, punishing that early game aggression from Kerberos and taking his ghost down, which is very crucial for Caleb to be able to play that lane.
Indeed, and all the while, nothing much more has happened, of course, aside from MNM managing to punish Kerberos nice and early. Still, we're waiting to see how this game kind of comes on, because both these comps are very different. You've got the kind of Chemera plus Alistar plus Galio jump in on people and try and blow them up. On the other side, quite a lot of ways to punish people diving in on, plus Linkas, who kind of needs to get way ahead on this Graves to be a proper damage threat. Otherwise, you're going to run out of damage if you're not careful.
Chemera has been actually everywhere, and I think right here they're setting up for a dive. There are flashes on both the bot laners from Dustin. I think they have actually smelled this from super far away, and they're going to be backing off of that tower. There are no teleports. Stender's going back.
Yeah, going to try and flash that one out. In comes the Galio with the heroic entrance. Michiku is chunked out, but doesn't fall. Of course, there's no real way to come and chase it. Backland will come down, and Soft has to flash out of the enemy jungle.
Yeah, I mean, I think MNM had the right idea right there. Chemera so far has been all over the map. MNM is actually moving everywhere. They're trying to create opportunities. They have the Michigo onto the Samir. Once you get her ahead, she's going to be one-shotting people later on. She is the better iteration of what I wished Katarina would be when she starts spinning.
She's even got the high noon skin.
Exactly. And I feel like Chemera onto this Galio has been so impactful in the early game. He's been shoving in waves. He's going towards the top side of the map. He's going towards the bottom side of the map. So far, it has resulted only in 1 kill that has ended up in his pocket. But if you look on the other side, what are you losing out on? Because that Veigar is going to be one-shotting people later on. You only have very squishy members on your team except for the Alistar. So once this Veigar is well and truly fed with all this CS and experience that's been so
refarmed, yeah.
And he's going to be a big problem for MNM.
Indeed. Level 6, as we said, have come through. We've seen the use of them already slightly towards that bot side. You've heard Trouble just say, look, Chemera's been really active, but it's only really led to 1 kill thus far and a pretty big discrepancy in the CS. It's only led to about a 300 gold lead, and you need to see a lot more than that unless this Veigar starts to get to a truly terrifying point. Of course, with that ultimate still down, still going to be MNM starting up the Herald despite not having that heroic entrance. Curious now to see whether Dusty will want to come and contest. Does not look like it from where we're at right now.
I'm just a huge fan of Galio in general right here. It works so well to be able to zone away choke points, especially since you don't have any vision. And I feel like MNM have read the play from the start really, really well. They're like, Kerberos is going to play very aggressive. They made sure that they put 4 members up the tops of the map, punish Kerberos, take his ghost, make sure that Caleb is actually safe. Safe? There's like 4 wards towards the top side of the map, 5 wards towards the top side of the map. There is no way that this Graves can actually sneak in to try and shut down Caleb without MNM seeing him. And even if they do see him, Chemera is just so mobile through the entire map this whole time that he will be there to try and help with the hero's entrance.
Indeed. And of course, you've still got to see how it all plays out, because Kerberos was pretty notorious across his time in the NLC for, you know, getting the first ever pentakill in the league, smashing solo go records until MNS came in.
We need to make sure that he's not on Kerberos' int account.
Ah, yes, we did hear about that.
About this, yes.
That was on things like the Queen. I suppose potentially this Darius might count on that front, so have to see how he continues to play. Of course, died just the once so far. Gonna try and continue to play this one out best they can. The early dragon being started up by Dusty as it stands, as Kerb comes down towards this mid lane to just shadow and make sure nothing has gonna happen there, as of course we did see the likes of the lack of teleport, of course, in the summoner choices, as explained, because the ghost is pretty useful to try and punish the gangplank, but it means, you know, being able to move to players requires a little bit more forethought. There we go.
I mean, I think that if this Darius does not snowball in the early game, it's going to be really difficult to play the team fights later on. Yes, you're going to pop your ghost. Yes, you're going to pop your flash. You get onto Michigo. You get bonked away by the Alistar. You get taunted by Chimera's Galio.
You hit a Spectrum more, there's a Cannon Barrage, yeah.
So there's like so many ways to actually keep that Darius at bay, that unless MNM actually run into Dusty and Darius gets to free hit, then it's going to be really difficult for Kerberos to actually be relevant in these team fights. But due to the fact that Dusty's composition in general has been around peeling and kiting backwards, then yes, maybe Kerberos can get a lot of value out of a bunch of melee players playing into him and running into him, because that's exactly what also Chemera wants to do. At some point, she goes melee and starts spinning.
Some very interesting play patterns to sort of theorize to see how it all plays out, because who dives first, who ends up with the team fight first, can end up in a bit of a difficult position because of the counter moves that both sides have got. You know, Wish comes out, you suddenly throw down a cage, you've dived too deep on the Chemera and you get blown up, but then there's a Galio well and a Cannon Barrage coming out to try and save them. I mean, like all of those little back and forth options and the hard to
look
try
at
and
Kerberos.
Oh, he's hiding in that bush and Caleb walks away.
Caleb might actually have to go the long way around, which means that, which means that he will lose experience of at least 2 minutes right there.
There's
no way you walk around that point, because Kerberos made sure to guard it really well. He has Flash, he has Ghost, that means that the Gangplank would be run down. Unfortunate by Caleb, loses 2 minutes of experience and gold, but fortunately for him, he's already 20 CS up. He's already 1 level up onto Kerberos, so losing on 2 minutes is not going to be the end of the world.
Absolutely doing his best to make sure this Darius pick is not gonna get rolling, and thus far doing just fine at that. Feeling pretty content with it as thus, but of course all the while Backlund, the one remaining player from last split. Dusty switched on every other member but Backlund, a player honestly we had some question marks about. Is doing very well in this game, lands a lot of damage here, is already up an exceptional amount of CS. He's at 128 stacks of phenomenal evil power. What a name for stacks.
Is this what it's actually called?
Phenomenal evil power.
Yeah, I thought you thought of that.
No, phenomenal evil.
Perfect.
There you go. I know that. There's a lot of random bits of League trivia, I know.
Kerberos is actually proxying.
Oh, so... Cab! We've missed you, my man.
Welcome back to the NLC, Kerberos. Of course, here, MNM will use the Rift Herald towards the bot side of the map, get a bunch of money onto Michiku's pocket right there. Again, there is not much hard engage other than the Nautilus creating some opportunities with the ultimate, with the anchor connecting right there. You do not have much hard engage. So for MNM to be able to take all these plates and give all this gold to Chemera is going to be very good.
Little shout out here as well. Michigu used the Blade Well to prevent the damage that would kill the Herald before it charged as well. Just a little thing there is like, that's really nice, because they'd use the cages to try and stall the Herald. Couldn't quite secure the kill, partly because of that Blade Well, I believe, if my eyes don't deceive me, which is always a possibility.
Also, coming out of the base, a lot of items have just been completed for Dusty as well. You see that we have Eclipse, Everfrost, and most importantly, the Moonstone. And why I mentioned the Moonstone onto the Soraka is that because a lot of people are like, oh, Soraka, yeah, he's healing a lot. Just get anti-healing, just get Ignite, just get Grievous Wounds, it's fine. Well, a lot of people forget that her ultimate, Wish, removes Grievous Wounds before the heal applies. So that first R into W that Soraka provides together with Summoner Heal is going to be, if not the entire HP bar, a huge chunk that you can bait people in. And since you're playing with this kiting composition, allowing someone to fall low, pull back into defensive lines, and then give them that boost of HP can bait members from MNM into a very unfavorable fight.
Really great for Darius as well, who loves to play with that healing from the Decimate. You know, like, if you can remove the Grievous Wounds, so he heals even more, as Backlund has to flash out of that Everfrost and Taunt. Gets out, but does have to trade that Summoner spell and is now a little more vulnerable.
Again, very well played by Chemera. I've really liked his movement onto that Galio. I've really liked his impact onto the map right now. The only thing that remains to be seen is how MNM are going to use that Galio to take control and advantage of the map, because I feel like Chemera might have to flash here.
He's gonna try and do his best, as that is a very dead Galio. And at the moment we praise him, he falls down in the mid lane.
I said he might have to flash there. He didn't feel like it was necessary, so he ends up going down. This is what happens when you play against the Cage and of course the Nautilus, right? If the CC is landed properly, you will not get to move at all, and therefore Dusty are going to be going for their second Dragon of the game.
Indeed they are. See whether they'll try and steal soft, just backing away though. It'll be a thrown out flare from across the wall. That's about it. Speaking of though, we've got ourselves a little bit of a new toy to play with, Trouble. We've got ourselves a tablet with some
Which one am I
interesting
pressing?
buttons.
Which one am I
Press the
pressing?
button. Pick one.
Okay.
Bring it up.
Okay.
Let's see whether
What
it
is
comes up. I don't know.
I didn't press it correctly.
Oh, you
This
didn't
one.
press it correctly. There you go. Woo! Hashtag NLC at home. Look at that. Look at that beautiful
some
way of
nice
people
kicks.
watching at home. Bifrost, Mitchell, of course. Look up with the boys and the Bifrost shoes. Even got the shoes on. One of the Bifrost.
Wait, it actually says Bifrost on them. Holy, okay.
Like actual
Okay, please
Bifrost
hook me
branded
up.
shoes.
Please hook me up because I really like this.
That's
keys.
incredible.
Hook me up. Just DM me on Twitter.
You look there.
Tell me where you got them from.
Indeed. Throw out that hashtag, guys. Show us some more about how you're watching at home. Thank you very much for that particular one. I am impressed they've actually got own branded shoes.
Right.
That is impressive work. I don't know whether we should be like advertising for them like that, but I've done it anyway now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's on the screen.
Right?
Don't do any more
I appreciate the hustle. Well done, Bifrost. Still, we've got ourselves a game now, which is still very even. A few hundred gold in the favor of MNM, but the two dragons are in the favor of Dusty. And yes, the galley was roamed, but hasn't really found much that's really succeeded out of that first roam. And it has left that Veigar to scale and get a kill back. He's got it punched into a wall, but has got an Everfrost to prevent a further engage.
Question mark ping?
You okay there?
Question mark ping? Question mark ping? Yes.
That is probably the best vocalization of like a hesitant question mark. It's like, quick question mark. What's going on there? Caleb flashing away there as the stacks were starting to come up from the side of Darius as Sten spins to try and get out there. Sorry, the Mishigu spins on Sten to try and get a hold of them, but even with the S rank flare, doesn't quite have the damage to finish off the Nautilus.
So, just to go back to our initial checklist, when we entered the game, we said Kerberos, he needs to snowball on the top side of the map, plays with a flash and ghost, he needs to be aggressive towards Caleb. Caleb has not died. Yes, I'm just seeing that his flash was just forced, and Linkus...
Gonna have to flash out of that Everfrost and does burn the summoner alongside that smite, but of course that's on a slightly shorter cooldown as a summoner spell. Bot side though, turret does finally fall.
Back to the checklist.
Indeed.
Calem's flash was just blown.
Indeed.
Kerberos didn't blow any summoner,
Oh, no.
so there must have been a fight towards the top side of the map that Caleb wanted to get away from.
He did indeed.
But-
Because the stacks were coming up from the side of Darius and he had to get out of them.
But one level up for Caleb, already scaling onto the gangplank. Gangplank will be much easier to pivot and to pilot, into these fights to come. On the other side, we've had the impact of, Chemera has had a lot of impact in the early game, but hasn't translated into anything massive because they've lost two dragons to Dusty. And on the other side of Dusty, they've got the ever-scaling Graves, Veigar, and Soraka. So if you've got your heal bot that scales massively, you've got your AP damage dealer that deals very consistent AP damage but can also blow you up, who's also ever scaling, and then we all know about Graves scaling into the late game.
Hold on, sorry,
Can
did you
completely blow
just
up.
say Graves jungle
I
in a
cannot.
positive way? Are you feeling
cannot.
okay, Troubling?
I cannot. I'm ill.
So for reference for those who may not be aware, Georgia here is not a fan of Graves jungle. She
He's
detests
useless.
it. But is he? Is he going to be useless in this game?
gonna
It's
get a kill now.
massive amount of damage, and the explosion comes out of Backland to pick up the second kill for Dusty, and of course both of them are on that Veigar.
Okay, all credit where credit is due. I feel like Graves is the right pick right here because you're not necessarily gonna get challenged by a Viego at all. You're gonna be free farming the entire time. It's not like Galio's gonna start suddenly invading you because Veigar clears the wave really quickly so he can actually get into the jungle. You've got the cage so the Graves can play freely into teamfights, moving far forward, playing around the cage of your own teammate. And then on top of all that, even if you fall low, you've got the heal bot on Soraka that can provide you with silences and a bunch of heals. So yes, if you need that AD consistent damage, I think something like a Kindred or a Graves right here would be so helpful for you. So yes, I do despise when I see Graves in my solo queue games because I play Katarina and I do like my ganking junglers. But when it comes to competitive, I
hate that. Now it all comes out. There's the selfish line.
You heard it once, and that's it. I'm not going to mention it again.
All the while, do you have to point out, Backland is increasingly getting fed up that 50 CS, 2 kills, death cap completed.
That is a fat Veigar.
That is a very scary, tiny master of evil.
Wait,
He's going to have a Herald
dropped
dropped in mid.
Him tiny.
Top side, Kerberos dueling out with Caleb. Just deletes him! Decimates! Plus a Noxian Guillotine secures that one. And Chemera's got his own stacks to worry about now. Oh my lord! Not quite enough to finish off the kill, but he'll get it in the 1v2, and Kerberos solo kills in. Not quite an MNS's fight, but it's glad to see we've got some bloodshed happening.
That must have been why Caleb flashed off screen right there, because he didn't want to get that treatment. Caleb felt safe knowing Chemera is going towards the top side of the map and the hero's entrance would be available. Little did he know, Trinity forced Darius onto the hands of Kerberos, absolutely smashes through any shield and resistances that are going to be coming through. So yeah, when it comes to the side lane, you can actually keep Darius in the side lane. You do not care, like grouping him up with the other 4 core members, because they're going to be more than fine without you. And if Kerberos can do that on a side lane, 1 versus 2, then yes, it's going to become very problematic and they're going to have to find a way to deal with it. Pops the ghost right here, is going to get onto Caleb. He waits for the
the stacks?
Thank you for the stacks. Not the stacks, it's the shield from the, the runes.
Bone plating?
Bone plating, thank you so much. Wait for the bone plating.
I thought you were like waiting for the stacks to come up on Darius.
No, waiting for the bone plating to come off to continue with the burst from the ultimates once all the stacks have been applied, right? So really well played right there from Kerberos. Almost gets the 2 kills right there, having Chemera to flash away from him, which means that flash taunt is gonna not be a factor in the next fights to come for that Galio.
I really want to keep an eye on backline CS as well, because that's continuing to increase. There is a very real Flame Horizon possibility coming up in the next 5 minutes or so.
21 minutes, 245 CS.
That is an extraordinary farm rate. We saw some pretty good stuff from Merbs earlier on the Xayah, but that is another level right now from Backland, who is absolutely power farming. And of course, you've got a Soraka who needs less farm, has kind of got to that 1.5 item point, and you can kind of trade a little bit more of that farm into your Veigar's back pocket. MNM, though, will try and siege into this mid lane. Kerberos gets chunked, but of course has the Soraka behind. Astral Infusion coming through, doing their best to keep it alive. Shredder taken so damn low, has to back away. The dredge line now misses. Soft at the back end of this Predator's been popped. Barrels come out, and they will extricate themselves from danger. Mid lane turret secured. But oh my day, Shredder definitely had to flash out of that one real quick. Mid lane turret also traded out.
So now you know the Galio doesn't have flash and the Alistar doesn't have flash. So all of these surprise wombo combos that these 2 champions can actually pull to maybe catch Soraka or the Veigar off guard are completely off the table, which allows then Dusty to move forward and take that mid lane vision down by taking the tower. So far, so good from Dusty. They've made sure that the Veigar is always on a safe lane, trying to farm up, has 2 items, including Death Cap, is gonna go back, trying to farm towards that Seraph's as well. And then you also have DeVoskne onto the Soraka, who has been farming, has the 2 crucial items right now. Now DeVoskne can actually group up and give all of the farm to Linkus or Buckland whilst he's just hovering behind them.
2 CS away from a Flame Horizon right now is this Veigar. We got ourselves a bit of a contest around this red side jungle. Hook lands in, but there's Soft at the back end. Doesn't really land all that much. Big cage as well. So much damage coming through. They're going to try and turn it around though. But the headbutt out of the Galio ultimate allows a kill and a reset. And Kerberos gets the double. The dunks are just coming straight through and they ain't stopping. That's 3 dead already. He's going to continue to chase down. The Ghost still running. Silenced by the Equinox. Goes down. Linkas gets that one. And Dusty destroy that team fight.
It's Baron time, baby. I did not see a single Dusty member drop below 80% HP in a fight that MNM chose to engage. This is how powerful and potent this composition is by Dusty that they have actually drafted. No one goes through that choke point. Whoever overextends has no chance. So very well played right here, from coaching staff to draft to actual execution onto the Rift to be able to pull this off.
And at 23 minutes, 50 seconds, we have a Flame Horizon. Backland gets the Baron. He'll get a hold of this top lane tower as well. And Dusty are an extraordinary amount ahead at this point. This Darius was supposed to be hard to execute in team fights. Feeling pretty good right now. We've got a replay though, because initially I thought Soft at the back end of this should have been able to turn it around. That cage though, holy moly.
Yeah, Soft face checks the cage, then Shredder, we mentioned he doesn't have flash to try and reach the backline, so the Galio ultimate actually reaches the backline, and once Galio has been dispatched off, Alistar has been dispatched off, then there's no one there to actually stop Kerberos from getting into the backline, and that's exactly what he did.
And at that point, it is lights out. The Noxian Guillotine collects a lot of heads. 3-1 and 2 now is this Darius. 2-0-2 with a vast discrepancy, as already stated by Batman, who's picked up a Medjai's Soul Stealer. He is 2 items ahead of Chemera right now, and this game is already well and truly out of hand. You can see it on the momentum meter as well. Our analysts in the back of the green room also agree, and MNM, they've got to try and find something right now. I just don't know what they can do. Kerberos has taken jack all damage. The Noxian Guillotine comes swinging down again. DeVoskne goes right back to full HP, having thrown out a wish. Soft just can't make it work. The cage is there. Backlund's on a killing spree, and Michigu needs to run away as Backlund with a Predator brings down the Dark Matter. Not quite enough to secure the kill quite yet, but Curb ain't done. The Apprehend comes through, and the long arm of the Noxian Law shows that might is right in League of Legends.
And I know that details do not matter, but then DeVoskne played this so well. He waited until the last minute, right before Redemption drops, to remove his Grievous Wounds with his ultimate, and then have Redemption right on top, which means his entire HP bar was completely intact after going down to 20%. And this is the power of bait and Soraka.
That's what you talk about. It's an Elden Ring boss. You've got a second phase to go through with all these abilities. Linkcaster leads the Gangplank as well. Calum straight back to Grayscreen for the 3rd time this game. 11-1 in kills, and Dusty have emphatically taken control of this game. They've got a soul to go back to should they so wish, and it looks like they will take that opportunity. A monstrous Baron power play from the side of Dusty.
And very respectful as well right there. I expected Dusty to completely run the game to try and finish it right there, but you see, very good flash right there by Chemera. They're trying to get onto DeVoskne, and look how low they do end up getting, like 20% HP, and then he'll pop the Wish together with the Redemption. Grievous Wounds instantly removed means you get 100% of that heal that you pop onto yourself. The R and the Redemption, really good stuff right there, honestly, from DeVoskne. Very well handled.
They have tried their best so far, but this game is so far out of control. There's a soul. There is a top side of the map that is just extraordinarily fed. Who needs an AD carry when you just get to this point where your front line is less than paper? They are just there on the chopping block, waiting for a Noxian Guillotine to come down and chop him into bite-sized chunks. Shredder gonna get caught again, and it is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Shredder never wins. We've all seen the cartoons, and he'll die again. Top lane tier 2 falls down, and it is just a matter of putting the dots on the I's, crossing the T's. A last gas from MNM's all they've got left.
Talking about T's, this is completely textbook. They want to get every single inhibitor tower before they're gonna be finishing the game, because the only thing that remains is these 2 Nexus towers. But right now, there are no waves available for the side of Dusty. There are no objectives. They have to wait for mid lane wave, and they have to wait for bot lane wave.
They're just hanging around right now. Backlund at 4-0-4. Enemy chances just not found. In comes the wave, and MNM, they are going to have a last gasp at the Alamo. Can they hold on? I just don't think it's possible.
Chemera just used his dash. He cannot go back in.
Redder is going to try and get to the backside, but it's just too little, too late. The Noxian Guillotine beginning to spin up once more, and it is an execution, a factory, a meat grinder. And Dusty are going to put this game to bed in a second. It's the long, long sleep of death that awaits MNM. First game of the season has been an absolute bloodbath in favor of Dusty. It was quiet early, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the mid games comes round, and Kerberos' Darius, Backlund's Veigar just unleashed.
You know what? This was almost a perfect game for Dusty had Kerberos not been on his int account, because he died once, ruining the perfect game for Dusty. But honestly, really well executed start to finish. That bot lane with Soraka managed to get her into the late game unscathed. Like, we had the Veigar, 20 minutes into the game, Flame Horizon, double items with Death Cup 20 minutes into the game. Kerberos running Calum down the entire time after that small blunder in the early game. So everything worked so well for this Dusty lineup.
Really, really did. And this is a team that had a lot of expectations with the names coming onto this roster, and they deliver, at least in this first game. But to find out more, we have got an analyst desk and some interviews to go to. So it's over to the desk.
Thank you so much, Initialize. And I had no idea what to expect from this game. but I did not expect this one.
I expected it to go a little longer than that. That was
the fastest game so far.
Very fast. It was a little unceremonious. One of the things that we pointed out was, you know, ooh, hang on, this is some pretty okay side laning. You got a Galio, got a GP, loads of globals. That's cool. Yeah, but it's onto a Darius. You know, like you go into a side lane with Darius, you're just bringing him another person to kill.
Yeah, and we saw Kerberos, obviously, we're going to probably show you that clip when he just... Galio tries to ult the GP, but as you mentioned, it's just the magic damage shield, and Darius doesn't care about that. He just one-taps, kind of cleaves GP in half, and that's the story.
It's like, overall, what a great return for Kerberos back to the region. It's great to have them back. Great to have them back.
So it's the return of the king, another king. Let's see when they clash against each other.
Names for people that rule areas of land. It can be like an emperor, a regent, a monarch.
No, they're both kings and need to clash against each other. Okay. We need to know who's the best one. I gotta say, this was a massive game coming in from Dusty. To me, it's a really good showcase of what this team is now. Like, okay, this is our personality right now. Because I had no idea what to expect from them as soon as I saw, like, oh, Viking is no longer with the team. What does this mean? Well, it means a lot. I'm seeing a lot of teams that I did not expect anything, and I'm like, oh, is this a top 4? Is this a top 4? Is everything a top 4?
They just looked really solid, honestly. And like just looking at the draft from MNM, obviously we were so hyped seeing the Chemera locked in, the Alistar locked in, right? But the Soraka almost felt like they kind of neutralized the lane, and where we wanted to see the aggression, it was just not possible. And after that, it felt like they kind of bled out, and this is the worst type of games that you don't wanna lose by just going like you have 1 kill, maybe 2 kills, you don't have a tower. You wanna go out with a bang, and I think MNM they really have to scratch their heads.
The problem is like MNM had 2 potential conditions of loss for this. One was, oh no, we're engaging right down the front of so much CC, silence fields, cages, and the other one was Darius on a side lane with a Soraka roll. And if you lose on the side lane, you can't hold that in control, you're never going to get to those team fights. So when one went wrong, you have to try the other, and that was always going to be a losing play. This is how it started going wrong.
Oh, that's the replay, okay.
Yeah, and Kerberos did a really good job in the 1v1, making sure that he was playing around vision traps, because Gangplank still needs to keep farming, but yeah, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that that magic damage shield doesn't do anything against Darius unless he's built a proto belt, which he's never going to do unless it's Wild Rift. But I mean, you look at the Darius and you sit there, it's like, well, okay, just bring him someone else to kill. You need to make sure you're shutting this guy out of the game. And that was already something which was going okay from them. It was an apprehend level 1 from the Darius because that failed invade. Well, they're not quite as successful invaders they would have liked to. You get like a flash trade of like a E level 1 level up. That should have been a lane which they controlled a little more on that side, and it just wasn't enough. They didn't shut him completely out of the game, and Kerberos claws his way back in.
When I look at this in analytical point, and I look, okay, you have the GP, there's the apprehend. You look into the bot side, and obviously you want to bring Michigo ahead into this game, but obviously you cannot, because that's a Soraka, that's a Nautilus. You won't be able to reach the Soraka, so you need to play to the top side, and it never did. There was never a clear window for them.
I think honestly, it's just so much around the mid jungle in this game as well. You pick the Galio, you don't pick the Galio just to farm into the Veigar. Obviously, Veigar is going to outscale you. You have to force onto the side lane. They did so pretty okay into Kerberos. They kind of shut him down, but as you mentioned, not nearly enough. And I never saw like Michigo, like Chemera and Alistar trying to like maybe slow push a wave, try to get a dive off with the Galio prior that he has prior most like first 6 levels. But I never saw that, and that's what kind of disappoints me.
And then as soon as they lost that prio, suddenly it was just like, wow, lost the prio, Predator comes in, get a kill onto the Galio, Veigar's untenable, Darius untenable. That's why it gets so close to being a perfect game. All of your play style options just fall through.
Almost a perfect game, but it was not there almost 100%. And now I have the pleasure to meet DeVoskne that played Soraka in the bot side. So to begin this interview, hello, how are you doing? And
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
You're doing good. You're laughing. Obviously, you're laughing. Is this what we should expect from you, Soraka bot lane?
Like we go into the day and try and figure out what we think is good, and then you pull out some champions that you think can work, and then this is what you get, I guess.
How are you feeling about the team? Because this is a new Dusty. This is something that we never saw before. A new composition. Backlund is the only remaining member. But it seems like you guys are cohesive. You know how to roll in the Champion Select and inside of the Summoner's Rift as well. How are you feeling with this team?
I'm very happy so far. Like, I think the main thing right now in competitive league is you can get a big advantage out of draft in most games. And I think we are very flexible. We are willing to play a lot of different champs. And and can kind of try and counter the opponent's champs. So I think that gives us just a good advantage, good baseline to where we can work from and try and improve our gameplay. So I'm really happy with the roster so far.
Interestingly enough, in this matchup, I would say that Michigo is the unexpected AD carry where he can play whatever he wants. But you were the one pulling the Soraka card. Are you also an unexpected AD carry? Is like NLC has to prepare for you?
Like I don't play to have fun or anything. Like I play to win, right? So I'm gonna pick whatever I think is gonna bring us the win, and what that might be, it can be anything. Like the way I see it is, I should be able to play like any champion that can be played in my role, and I think Soraka is one of them. So that's why I picked it here, and I think it was a good spot to pick it. So I'm gonna play what will bring us victory, and I think there's a lot of different champs, not just the normal AD carries that is gonna do that.
I would say that's the best answer I ever thought I would get. That is an amazing take into the game. So you're in for the win. Tell me, what is the objective for you at the end of the split with Dusty?
For me, it's just return to EU Masters. Obviously, I had a bit of a rough split last split, but the way I think you get there is not by really focusing on that. You need to focus on one game at a time, and I think we did that today. You know, we focused on today, figured out what could work for us, and we need to continue to do that if we're gonna reach any of the goals we want to set ourselves. I think NLC is gonna be more stacked than ever. I think this split, and I can't wait to play all my friends and people I know and people I've played against before. So it's gonna be a banger for sure.
And if we're talking about friends and people that you know and all that, do you have any words for anyone back at home that is a Dusty fan and is now looking into this new roster? What would you say to them?
Thank you for supporting us, and I think we're gonna surprise a lot of people. And don't get your hopes up too high just yet, but we'll try and bring some greatness to Dusty. That's for sure. To bring some greatness to Iceland.
Okay, thank you so much for the words and for the interview. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'll see you next time.
Perfect. See you.
See ya. I'm in it for the win. I don't care about favorite champions. I'm not a one trick, so you cannot judge me, okay?
Doesn't care about fun. That's why you play Soraka, so no one can have fun.
Obviously, not even the enemy, not even your team, not even you. So this is a good mindset in terms of competitive.
Yeah, I like that side of things. I think that's a very important mindset to just say, like, sometimes you just get rid of all the crap around what's happening in your team. Sometimes your team environment, particularly coming through reviews, can get a little bit snarled up like that. To just cut out all that crap and say, what's actually going to get us the win? What's actually the meat of the issue here? I think that's a very important skill to have, and it's quite a mature mindset for someone at this level of play. Sometimes that's not actually in our ERL players.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well, and just by looking at him and talking to him, I feel like he has what is considered a healthy ego. Like he's not full of himself. He doesn't think he's the best in the world, but he knows that, okay, if I play my champion well, probably we're gonna win, and I know that I can play well, and it's really nice to see.
This is a good mentality that this is feelings. I spit on those. I'm in for the win. And for the first time, he didn't tell us, M-Test, that he needed to 1v9.
Yeah, no, but
well, there was that side of it, but there was also a bit of feels after saying, like, it's great to be back in a region where I've got a lot of friends, got a lot of players. And I know that, like, on broadcast today, we've actually had some random connections flying about. It does remind you of that. This is kind of like our local scene with all of these connections. It's great to start building them up, looking into these, maybe not rivalries, sometimes they're friendships, but something that just the connection and getting that and showing it to everyone.
If I may, NLC is like the Spider-Man of the ERLs. Your friendly neighborhood NLC, you know?
I don't know.
Hey, it's a good take. If Quickshot can talk about Spider-Man, I can do the same.
Great power becomes great EU Masters responsibility.
I'm not even going there. Okay, moving on into the next interview. It's Chemera from the other side, from MNM, and we need to talk. Okay, there you go, Chemera. Pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the interview. Obviously, we're not starting on a good foot for MNM, but it was a really rough game for you guys. Can you guide me through the champion select? Because you picked in the Galio, and you knew that you had to play for the top side to protect the GP, and it's kind of hard when Darius is going for the true damage. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were happy with the way our draft went. It's quite a clear-cut way of playing the game. It's we go forward, we go all in, we get like one reset, and you win. And we had really good mid and bot prio early, so it was easy to decide. So early game, we were really happy. The first 8 minutes, the dive on bot maybe was a bit ambitious, but we got harrowed and the game was fine. But I think then we just played a little bit too scared. I think game 1 nerves or game 1 hesitation comes in quite a lot, which we were a bit disappointed at. But I think it's fine. Like, we had a good fundamental to build on. We punished well, especially around top. So yeah, we just got to up it for the next game and just make sure we play with confidence, and then I think we'll be smooth sailing.
And if I may focus on the top side as well, because it was really hard for you to play for the bot side. You have a Nautilus, you have a Soraka. It's really hard for Michigo to go into that lane to kill Soraka, so you needed to focus on the top side. And Kerberos was in complete control of the lane. Approximately 10 minutes, he was in complete control. There was not enough vision to see where Kerberos was. So you at the mid lane were constantly preoccupied with the top lane, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can attack. Like, attacking bot isn't too difficult. I think we just need to play better around stacking. I just think we messed it up. And especially like when we have Gangplank, Global, ult, it is easy to do. But again, we just messed up and maybe weren't communicating like how we used to. And then the stuff like attacking mid, I think we just need to be better at matching. Like, if we'd matched the moves from bot jungle and actually spoke better about the waves we want to play on, then the game is much easier. But honestly, a lot of this game was just we weren't playing with as much confidence as we'd like. So just hopefully we bring that in our next game.
That's exactly what I was fishing for, because GP can help into the bot side. So it was more about execution than the draft itself. So the draft went your way, but execution was kind of iffy. So you think this is like, okay, first week, we're still adapting to the team, we're still adapting to each other. So this is something that you couldn't work on into the future, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We're just building up on it.
Okay, so tell me, last question. What is your goal at the NLC? It's the first day. I want to know for every single player.
I mean, obviously we have high expectations. We want to, get to playoffs, get to EUM, and put on a good showing. I think everyone has a lot of potential in the team, and we all see the game a very similar way. So I think that gives us a good edge, and we're just we're working to get to the top, and it'll be a progress. Fortunately, like, we've had a lot of progress in scrims from day 1 to obviously like the second, third week, and just build up on that. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously to win it all. I think everyone needs to have that aspirations. So we'll get
See
there.
what happens, Chemera. Thank you so much for the interview. Best of luck for the next day, and I'll see you soon.
Great, thank you.
This is something that I was thinking about, because you can play with the global ultimate from GP. You can help the bot lane set up something, but they never did. So it was more about
completely
execution.
Completely triaged it. You're very much right on the head there. And sometimes, like, it reminds me of something which people used to say about particularly like mid laners a lot of the time, where people say, oh, he's such an aggressive mid laner, such a passive mid laner. No, sometimes there's just a right and wrong way to play towards your limits. And I think this was one where they just didn't quite play to the limits enough. So I think you really nailed that. Yeah.
So how did this game affect the standings? We get to see it again. Obviously, it's day 1, so everything is still kind of tied up. There's only 2 teams missing from the standings. It's Astralis Talent versus Nuriki, which is the next game. But we have Bifrost, Dusty, Vanya, GDXL at the top, and then looking at the other side. Tell me something, M-Test. Did you expect to see this standings today?
Honestly, I think anything could have happened today. I predicted X7 to come out with a banger. And they didn't, and now, according to the table, they are last place. So let's see if it stays like that. I don't think so.
Alphabetism.
No, I did not expect this. I did not at all.
Okay.